This is a presentation of National Streaming Sports. Over 20 podcasters, 70 weekly shows, and a 3.4-star rating on Roku TV.
I don't know, Jack. It's a big decision.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying base.
Pittsburgh at Buffalo.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought I was right. So anyway,
Yeah, Mac, you're really interested in these playoffs.
so
This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning. You're listening to the Mac and Jack Sports Show on Northeast Streaming Sports.
All right, folks, it's Monday. The weekend's over. Time to start up all over again, Jack. And we've got a lot to talk about this morning as we come off the weekend. You're listening to the Mac and Jack Sports Show here on National Streaming Sports Roku channel. We're also on the YouTube channel right now. And MBR, Military Broadcast Radio, we're on that too, Jack. So we're on a bunch of different places today. And I guess we'll start off with the Olympics. I guess maybe I'm getting older, right? Because I guess I'm taking, there was a time, from when I was a kid, and then there was a time I really didn't care anymore. I really didn't care about the Olympics anymore. Now I'm like, one of those old Major League Baseball fans. I'm starting to get into the Olympics a little more. I'm starting to watch a couple of the events. I'm watching some of the highlights. I mean, I know, Jack, there's been some exciting things happening. And I guess we can start with the 100-meter dash, Jack.
Yeah, Mac, the Olympics about familiarity. It happens once every 4 years, the Summer Olympics. Of course, you have the Winter Olympics, and we're familiar with certain athletes, and we're going to follow those athletes. Those athletes make the sport during an Olympic year. In gymnastics, we want to tune in to see Simone Biles. If it wasn't for Simone Biles, we'd be less likely to watch it. In swimming, it's Katie Ledecky. We would be less likely to watch, swimming events if she wasn't in it. In 100 meters for the United States, it's Noah Lyles. Yesterday, he won the gold medal, the closest 100-meter race in history. He won it over Thompson, the great, Jamaica runner, in 9.78 seconds, a phenomenally fast time. To give you an idea how quick the time was, and Ben Johnson was caught in a cheating scandal with the steroids. He did 9.79. This is a little quicker. The great Carl Lewis, his quickest time ever was 9.86 seconds. So the time was quick, but he won it, okay, Noah Lyles, by 5,000ths of a second. I mean, like a blink of an eye, he won it by. And the thing about it, too, he won it on a technicality, a legal technicality. His torso on the photo finish was shown to be over the line ahead of Thompson's, okay? But if you look at the picture carefully, Thompson's foot touches the finish line ahead of Noah Lyles's, but his torso doesn't. But the rules are the rules. So Noah Lyles leaned slightly better across the line. So somehow his torso in the photo finish was seen to be just by a minuscule amount ahead of Thompson's. and it got him the gold medal, and then lost in the shuffle too, only 300ths of a second behind getting the bronze medal was another American, the veteran Fred Curley. I mean, no one is going to talk about that. He ran a phenomenal race. The Olympics unforgiving, Mac. I personally, I think they're highly overrated. I love watching them. I've loved watching them this year, but I think they're highly overrated, and I'm going to tell you why. Because they take place once every 4 years. And an athlete can be sick when it comes up. He can be partially injured. He could not run his greatest race up, perform at his very best that day, or he or she could be outstanding, and it could be someone else who has a career day, and you're just a tiny bit better. And now we've got to judge their career based on one quick event a lot of the time, like the 100 meters, less than 10 seconds. I'm not going to judge someone's career, not because between Olympic events every year, they have the world championships of track and field. So you got to judge the big picture. I mean, you can't be just judging for one Olympics. And sometimes what happens, an athlete makes it to the Olympics, but they're not in their prime at that time. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. Jim Ryan, the great American miler, he made the Olympic team in 1964 at the age of 17. He's not expected to win at age 17. He's a baby, barely made the team. So, of course, he doesn't win that year or get a medal. And people hold it against him. Now he's running in 1968 in Mexico City at high altitude, Mac, where you can hardly breathe. Disadvantage to an American runner. He gets a silver medal against Kip Keino, who's trained at altitude. And then 4 years later, 1972, he gets tripped up in the heat, tripped up and falls down. So he never gets a gold medal. And people kind of branded him during his career, despite the great career.
Jack, I mean, I don't think the Olympics are overrated. You have one shot to win the event, just like in baseball, just like in a Super Bowl. I mean, you could have a bad game too, a fumble or whatever, a slip. I mean, that doesn't mean you're the better team, but for that day, you're the better team. I mean, it doesn't mean overall you're the better team. I mean, you watch every game every week. You see what the regular season is. You see them through the playoffs. They get to the Super Bowl, and listen, they fumble the ball, right?
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that point.
Okay, so are you gonna say? And you've talked about it too in baseball. You may have the best record during the regular season, but for 4 games, you have 4 not so good games, and you lose. I mean, that's what sports are about. That's what makes sports exciting. I mean, right? I mean,
no, Mac. Let's say the Super Bowl was played once every 4 years, and the other years it's called the NFL Championship game.
Right.
The players would play just as hard in the NFL Championship game as they would in the Super Bowl, right? They would,
Right.
exactly. But it's called the Super Bowl once every 4 years. That's what the Olympics is. They have the World Championships on the non-Olympic years where the athletes are giving it all they have the same way they would in the Olympics, but it's called the Olympics, and all the public knows about is the Olympics because it's a magic name.
Yeah.
The average person doesn't have any idea what the World Championships are.
But
The athletes don't know about it.
That's what makes it so intense and so great, right? I mean, listen, you could win every playoff game in the world and lose the Super Bowl, or every championship and lose the Super Bowl. You're not looked upon as a great for some reason. That's just the way it is, Jack. And I understand what you're saying, but listen, that's you win championships and you got a Super Bowl. That's why Joe, and we're going to talk about Djokovic here, right?
Djokovic, good point, great.
I mean, he hasn't won that medal. He's been there. He's been in the Olympics. He won a bronze, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And now he's got to be thrilled. This is what he's wanted to be. 39 years old, Jack. I know I'm in the area there. And he
I think 36, I believe. But Matt Djokovic, I saw his match yesterday against Carlos Alcaraz, okay?
Right.
it's best of 3 sets, not 5, like when they have the major opens. And he won 2 tight sets, okay, 7-6 each one. Djokovic was thrilled because he's arguably the greatest tennis player of all time, very arguably the greatest tennis player of all time. Statistically speaking, he is the greatest tennis player of all time, but he hadn't done well in the past Olympics. So this was it with this tournament. It meant so much to him to actually win it, and he did win it. But meanwhile, you look at individual gold medals. Andy Murray from England, he won the gold medal twice, 2 different Olympics, and he's not quite in the same class as Djokovic, Rafael Nadal, or Roger Federer.
I agree.
Okay?
I agree with that.
It's so, but it meant so much to Djokovic, and it was a great match yesterday. And but when the tennis first started in the Olympics, it didn't seem to be a big deal to the players to win at Wimbledon. U.S. Open, French Open, Australian Open was so much more important to the Olympics when they first introduced tennis. They asked Chris Evert, she was in the tournament, would winning an Olympic gold medal equal winning Wimbledon? So she tried to be nice. She said, well, in some ways it would be as nice. You know, the way she put it. But for Djokovic yesterday, he would have gladly given back 2 Wimbledon titles, I believe, had he not won the gold medal yesterday. And they said, look, how about giving us back 3 majors, 2 Wimbledons and the French Open for the Olympic Championship? Would he have made that trade? He would have done it, I think, like that. That's how much it meant to him yesterday. And it was very emotional seeing him win it. He looked happier than when he won, the major tournaments in tennis. It meant the world to him in his country, Siberia.
It's so special. It's a special. That's why it's every 4 years. That's why it's so special. You know, Team USA, the women's Team USA, I think they've won, I don't know, consecutive games for the last 6 years in the Olympic the Olympic competition. They haven't lost a game. Something ridiculous. They ended up winning. They beat Germany 87-68. And they're moving on. And I see this is now, if the women lost, say they didn't get the gold this year, how disappointing, what do you think that the feedback would be, Jack? I mean, with everything that happened, right? Caitlin Clark didn't get picked. Angel Reese doesn't get picked. They haven't lost a game in 6 years. Suppose they get to the final and lose. Now, this team's going to be one of the teams that's going to go down in history because they lost the medal, because they've won it every year, and all that stuff that happened in the beginning. Who was on the team? What do you think the lashback will be over that?
They're in a no-win situation no matter what happens. Don't get me wrong. If they win the gold medal, kudos to the individual players. It'll mean a lot to them. They could always say we're gold medal winners. But when I mean a no-win situation no matter what, it's all about perception. If they don't win the gold medal, we're going to hear about the players that weren't picked, that they messed up, because the perception now is that they messed up. Right. Because the whole idea about women's basketball is to promote it, make it bigger. They finally had a breakthrough this year. For the first time, the WNBA gained momentum. They were gaining momentum, and they were gaining momentum in large part because of Caitlin Clark. And Angel Reese was following on her coattails, even though she seemed to be highly jealous in the beginning of the year, but she's toned it down finally, thankfully. And if they had Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese on the team, at least Caitlin Clark, more people would have been interested. But reportedly, they were concerned that Caitlin Clark maybe wouldn't get a lot of minutes and there'd be pressure, it would be a distraction, which I can understand. That was one of the things we heard with Tim Tebow, why teams maybe didn't want him on their team, or Colin Kaepernick, because they could be a distraction, not so much what they could contribute to the team. But a lot of people who'd be watching women's basketball in the Olympics and it would be one of the biggest stories in the United States. It's not. People are different. They don't care that much about the women's team, how they're doing. You mention it, but we care more about the other events, about the other athletes. And I think they missed that opportunity to bring more publicity to the game, by not putting Caitlin Clark out. And I think they caught on the pettiness. And I don't want to hear because she was a rookie. They put rookies on before in the past.
They definitely do. They definitely do. I just think it would be interesting if they lost and all I mean, especially when you have a perfect record and, everything that happened. So we talked a little bit before the show. The United States women's soccer kind of has a black eye because of all the different things that happened under the old regime. Them players are gone, Jack. We got new players in there. And, of course, now they got to kind of bring USA women's, as long as they don't start protesting, they got to start bringing this back into the heart of the Americans. They did win. Rodman's daughter, very young, I think she's 17 years old, Jack. Dennis Rodman's daughter scores a goal in overtime to win. A great story. I mean, her being one of the newest members of the team ends up providing the win yesterday for them. But as we talked about before the show, sometimes, you've got a reputation. You've got to kind of change it.
I hope, Mac, I hope if they win the gold medal, they're not invited to the White House. No invitation for them. They've turned down invitations before. And I don't want to hear that they're different players, okay? It's the United Soccer Federation or whatever the heck you want to call them. It was their job to set the culture and let the athletes know beforehand, if we win, this is what we have to do. But they allowed someone like Megan Rapone to take over and be the adult in the room, the immature adult, lead the other players. They wanted to keep taking their political views. Now you have new players, but it's passed down the culture, the franchise. I mean, that's what it is. And they win the gold medal, good for them. I don't care less about the women's team. Listen, the 1999ers in the past, there was a dignity to them. They're icons, highest respect to the history of the past. You're talking about 25 years ago. I don't include them in this. But the soccer teams that came late on, they're going to turn down invitations to the White House. They're going to decide who they want to go, what they want to do as far as politically, and put down this country in certain ways. The heck with them, Mac. Let them win. Good for them if they do. I'm not rooting against this bunch of girls. It's a new team. But I'm going to tell you, the last national soccer team we had with Megan Rapone, a lot of people in the United States were rooting against their own team. That's how bad it was.
It's true.
And it's unfortunate for these girls. You want to know something? These girls, if they want to erase the negative culture of the past, speak out and say we have nothing to do with, what they did in the past. Nothing at all to do. Don't hold it against us. And then they could start with a clean slate.
Well, we'll see what happens. I'm not going to root against them either. And I think players that have left, it's like a head coach like Jim Harbaugh has left Michigan. And, a lot of times it's the players coming in that get punished that had nothing to do with it. And this has nothing to do with the previous teams. I think you're kind of negative here, Jack, but I understand what you're saying.
No, I'm not rooting against them. Listen, if you ask me, do I want them to win or not? Do I prefer they win or lose? I prefer they win. I'm just not excited about them. Look, the bottom line is this. The women's national team, they turned down an invitation to go to the White House. The White House is an institution. It's not who's in as the president. It's
basketball.
Basketball.
Basketball teams have turned down invitations to go there. Super Bowl teams have turned down invitations to go.
No Super Bowl teams have turned down.
They've
all gone.
I think they might have. I'd have to look it up, but I know there's been some championship teams because of who was in the White House have turned down going to the White House. And tell me I'm wrong.
And you know what I would do, and what I think, they should never be given an invitation again, those national teams, and they should be told, look, you've turned down invitations in the past. so you're not getting an invitation anymore. I mean, it's highly insulting that you don't go to the White House. I'm not talking about who's in office, because let's face it, anytime a team goes to the White House, about half the players aren't going to like who's in there as president anyway. No matter what the administration is, they're not going to be supportive per se, but they go because of the tradition and the honor of the White House itself. But listen, let's wait until that becomes a controversy in the future again.
There you go. So let's get to, of course, Simone Biles with her vault routine, a routine that's named after, I guess it's the Biles vault, where she actually flips before she gets to the vault, hits the vault, flips in the air, does a triple back spin with a corkscrew, and hits perfectly every time. It's almost nobody else in the world does even attempts this. And if she hits it right, she wins. So she won her 7th gold medal. But I want to talk about her teammate, and her name is Sunsa Lee. In December, Jack, of this year, of last year, coming into this year, couldn't get out of bed. Bad kidney disease. She said she gained 45 pounds. And she made it to this Olympics and won 3 bronze medals. And she's not even, I think she's going for gold. She's competing for gold. But she's so happy that she's got these 3 bronze medals that she's gotten so far. I mean, can you imagine going from ill in the bed into January, February, March, and all of a sudden by the time you hit, the Olympic time, you're competing at a high level against the best gymnasts in the world and medaling, Jack. That's to me even
those are the stories which make the Olympics really great. Certain individual stories, having those physical disabilities and coming back from it, and winning bronze medals are great. It depends who the athlete is. If an athlete is heavily favored to win gold and they win bronze, I could understand there being levels of disappointment. But, I was watching also, and that's amazing what she did in gymnastics. Kudos to her. It's heroic. Even a 10,000 meter race, one of the American runners, Grant Fisher, he won a bronze medal. It was such an exciting race, and you heard the crowd buzz throughout the whole race. And to win that bronze medal, it was like, man, that was, great the way he came from behind. He got caught at the tape for the silver, but he made a real push for the gold medal. And he was ecstatic getting his bronze,
Sure.
And
Sure. Yeah. Definitely. To say for that day against the best athletes in the world from all these countries, you're 3rd in the world. It's got to feel great, especially now maybe for a athlete that has gotten many gold medals. Maybe the bronze is a little disappointing, maybe. But listen, to me, 3rd best, and this is where I think you don't have to be the best to enjoy a victory, right? This is not a trophy for everybody kind of event. You still got to be really damn good to win a.
Well, I'd say in certain cases you're not going to be satisfied. Like the 1988 Olympics, the men's basketball team, United States, we were favored to win the gold medal, but we had a lot of college players. John Thompson was the coach. Brian Gumbel was very protective of John Thompson. He didn't want Thompson to undergo any criticism. So after the United States won the bronze medal, major disappointment losing to the Russians, major. Brian Gumbel goes, "Congratulations on winning the bronze, coach." And Thompson, to his credit, said, "Look, that's not what we're here for. We're here for the gold medal." And Brian Gumbel made a fool of himself, I thought, then by congratulating a heavy favorite on, winning the bronze. It's like, yeah.
That's where that's where you could be a little disappointed. I like this year again, the men, they are favored to win. No questions asked. If they lose, it's going to be a huge disappointment. It's just going to be a disappointment for the NBA basketball. It is.
Can you imagine they get the bronze medal, just sitting down LeBron, Durant, Steph Curry, Embiid, You go up to them, congratulations on winning the bronze, fellas. You think they would slap you or throw
There might be
something
a
at you.
fight. There might
But
be a
one of the other countries they'll be ecstatic. You could congratulate them and go, thanks, guys. Great job you did. And yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. So let's get into a little MLB. We'll get the standings first in the East. Baltimore, New York still fighting for that first spot. The Red Sox and Tampa are following behind them.
And how much does it mean winning the division?
I think it matters.
Baseball, it's minimal.
I think it matters to the players. Well, you're not playing. If you were on the team, you would matter a lot to you. I mean, you're a competitor. You want to win. It doesn't matter what it is. If it was a checker game, if it's a checker game in the clubhouse, you want to win. I mean, you're a competitor. So you could say, well, you get in the playoffs, you could win. No, you want to be number one in your division. You want that. You got it. That's part of being a competitor.
Until the playoffs are done, then it means nothing. Then all you remember is how you did in the playoffs.
You worry about Jack. You play to win the game. You don't play to not win the game. You want to be in first place. You don't want to say I finished second. So you finish in second, you still lose the playoffs. Who cares?
It's a matter of
right. There you're proud. You were going to say you're 100% right. Of course they want to win the division. And they want to win the MLB.
Let me go another way. Let's say the Yankees and Orioles are tied. The Yankees have one final game of the season, last game of the season. Let's say the Orioles have a tiebreaker. However, the Yankees have it. And if the Yankees win that game, then first place. If they lose, they're comfortably in the playoffs, but they officially go in as a wild card. Do you pitch Garrett Cole on 3 days rest and move him back in the rotation for the playoffs, because you want to win the division?
Is there any kind of bye in the MLB playoffs?
No. Instead of Garrett Cole pitching the first game of the playoffs, best of five, you have to pitch him in the third game.
Of course.
You get one less start in the playoffs because you're pitching him. You want to win the division.
Well, right now I wouldn't care because Garrett Cole's not pitching good at all. So I would be like,
Max, you're stopping that like.
Listen, you're asking me this question at this time. Garrett Cole is not pitching well. You're saying when I pitch my ace, the best pitcher I have, when I pitch him in the first and to win the division because of the playoffs. Yes.
Okay, let's say you were guaranteed. You pitch him in the last game. You were told this. Look, if you hold him till game 3, you can only pitch one game in the playoff round, but you win the division. But if you go in as a wild card, you have him for 2 games, best of 5.
I'm pitching him. Because I'm going to pitch him 7 innings. Hey, 7 innings? I got him for the last game if I need him. He's going in.
Have him on 1 day.
Yes, he's going in for the last. He would go in the last game too, Jack. I want to win every game. I want to sweep the playoffs. I want to sweep the World Series. I don't want to win at home and go away and come back. I don't want to play any of that game. I want my team to want to win every single game. And if I don't pitch my ace in that last game to win the division, I'm telling my team, I don't care if you win or not. I want that statement in their minds, we're here to win.
It does happen like that once in a while, depending on the circumstance. In 2006, the Detroit Tigers had a big lead on the division, and then they fell completely apart. Now it's the last game of the season. Jim Leland went with his ace, Kenny Rogers, rather than save him for the playoffs. They were going to get in as a wild card because they so badly wanted to win the division because they had the lead all along, and they lost the game with their ace.
It happens.
And they didn't win the division, even though they pitched them, and then they somehow beat the Yankees in the playoff round. So it depends on the circumstance.
It does, Jack. I think as a manager and a coach, you want to send a message. We're here to win, and that's it. There's no second best. I think that's in any sport. But anyway, let's get back to the standings. So as I was saying, Baltimore Yankees, they're tied, and Boston and Tampa Bay are bringing up the rear. Cleveland, Jack, with 67 wins, they no longer have the best record of baseball. They're kind of going up and down here a little bit, but they're followed by Minnesota and Kansas City still in it, Jack.
They're tight races. If the season ended today, Mac, Minnesota and Kansas City would be joining either the Yankees or the Orioles as one of the 3 wild card teams.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're high on the Boston Red Sox and and you've been correct about them. They've done better than a lot of people, including myself, thought they do. But the Red Sox are something like 2.5 games out of the 3rd spot.
Yeah.
You know, so the Red Sox wouldn't be in the playoffs if the season ended today. It would be actually Minnesota and Kansas City. And in the other division, you know, with Seattle, Texas, Houston, you're probably not having a wild card team coming out of that. Probably not. You might still. But
well, Jack, I was thinking the same thing you're saying when I was looking at the West, because right now Seattle has, they have a very small lead over Houston now. Yeah, they lost to Philly last night, but it's really tight over there right now, and it's not because teams are taking over. Houston or Seattle has not taken over and said we're going to be this is one case where they got to win the division probably to get in the playoffs.
You said it best, Matt. You like take over. I'll use the word take off. You get the feeling one team is going to take off and they're going to do something like win 15 out of 17 and all of a sudden put distance between the other teams, and they're going to have their ticket to win the division, the playoffs. We don't see them going nip and tuck, struggling the rest of the way. There's going to be some separation at some point from someone.
Yeah,
but who's it going to be?
I don't know. I don't think Houston's as good as they were in the past.
I don't know. Are you getting to the NL standings?
Yes.
Okay, then I'll comment. Yeah.
All right. So the Phillies, Zach Wheeler pitches, and this is what your ace is supposed to do. The Phillies are in a losing. You have a losing streak. He comes up, stops the losing streak. Schwarber hits a home run. But again, they're playing Seattle. Seattle beat them the night before. So anyway, the Phillies are going to try and right this ship. Listen, Atlanta and the Mets are still in this. I mean, Mets have a distant shot, but Atlanta's still there, Jack.
8 games out.
Yeah.
Atlanta's 6 games behind. But you get the feeling they're not going to threaten the Phillies because Atlanta has certain injuries. They're not at 100% strength. I think the Phillies slumped a little, and Atlanta was playing well for a while. So they were allowing Atlanta to hang around. The Mets are 8 games out. They're not winning the Eastern Division.
No, I'm talking about wild card.
But if the season ended today, all of a sudden the Mets have slipped. Not so much the way the Mets are playing, even though losing a game the way they did to the Angels yesterday, the lowly Angels, that hurts because a couple of the other teams who they had overtaken temporarily for playoff spot are playing well. San Diego and Arizona. The Mets would be on the outside looking in if the playoffs started today. They wouldn't be in the playoffs.
It's weird, Jack, because the Mets have one of the better winning streaks since June. But it always seems like when they start making some hay, when they're going to have to keep playing they kind of fall off a little bit, and the other teams are playing well. Listen, I think the Mets have a good shot at getting the wild card. We'll see what happens with San Diego, Arizona, and a couple other teams. But they're in it. They're in it.
Yeah, and I don't know where you're going to get to the West, but if you look carefully, the Dodgers' big lead, it's kind of disappearing. They're only like 4 games ahead of San Diego, 4.5 ahead of Arizona. Yeah. Do I think the Dodgers will hold them off? Ultimately, I kind of feel they will. But all of a sudden, the Dodgers, Yamamoto being injured, Mookie Betts getting injured early in the year, Freddie Freeman having to take time off, to be with his son. The chemistry isn't quite all there with the Dodgers. Maybe the Dodgers do win it all when all is said and done, but the Dodgers were the consensus favorites to win the World Series when they got Ohtani.
Yes.
And it's not quite, what it is. And you look at Ohtani just being as a DH. and everyone's thinking best play in baseball. Aaron Judge is better than Ohtani right now, unless Ohtani can start pitching. If Ohtani can start pitching again, and next year he's going to pitch. Next year he's going to pitch.
We'll see. You know my thoughts
Then
on
he
that.
becomes the best player in baseball because he'd be an outstanding start, at least the number 2 on a staff, if not an ace, and obviously has a potent bat.
We'll see. We'll see. I have thoughts on that, but you already know my thoughts on that. Yeah, listen, as a DH, he's a great DH, best probably, right? Well, let's finish up with the Central Division. Milwaukee in first, followed by St. Louis and Pittsburgh, who's hanging around. I mean, they got a pretty good young team over there. They're kind of hanging in there. We'll see how it works out.
Future. Pittsburgh's a team of the future.
Agreed.
In a couple of years, you know, they might be in the mix to win the World Series for all we know.
So last night, Chicago extends its losing streak to 20 games.
White Sox.
I mean, listen, if I'm the White Sox manager, I might think of just retiring. I mean, I might just listen. I mean, I'm embarrassed. You know, I know their team has been sold off. They're not as good as the other teams, but you got to be able to scrap and win a game here and there. And it's the way they lost last night was pathetic. It's a string of errors. They find ways to lose. And you know, I mean, I guess if you're going to go down to record books for something, I mean, this will help them out. But I'm just saying, this is if I'm the manager, I might just take a week off and let somebody else try. I would.
I mean, what can the manager do if the players are bad?
Yeah.
I mean, what is the manager really? I mean, what? Okay, let's say you had a great manager. Let's say you had a great field general like Billy Martin took over that team. Yeah, they would win more games. I mean, and Billy Martin turned bad teams around.
Yes.
I just don't know it's the talent there. You got to see him day in, day out. I mean, how do you lose 20 games in a row unless you're bad?
20 in a row. I mean, even a bad team wins a game every now and then. I mean, 20 in a row. That's ridiculous. That's not. I mean, that's unimaginable. That's. I mean, even. I
sometimes think you get the best baseball all-star team and you put it together, best team possible, and put them against a double-A minor league team. And with the all-stars win 20 games in a row, chances are the double-A team would get them one time, maybe, you know, win game number 16. 20 in a row, man, oh man. I'm kind of, Matt, sometimes, Matt, you have a mean streak in you. Do you find yourself in a way rooting for this streak to continue? Because it does become national news. 27 in a row, 32 in a row. It's like you don't want this. You don't want the losing to end if you're on the other side.
Yeah. Set all the records. I
know. Like the Detroit Pistons lost something like 32 in a row.
Yeah,
the NBA, they were really bad for a while.
I lose interest. I mean, you know, I mean, if you're after 20, who cares after 20 games? I mean, I don't know. I don't wish it on anybody, honestly.
You know, you think, well, you think of cities, Mac. Think of cities one moment with sports franchises and think of how bad things are in Chicago. It's pathetic. Ooh. Baseball, the White Sox are one of the worst teams in Major League history. The Cubs have been a major disappointment. Yes. They barely got out of last place. Major disappointment playing poor ball on the season. You never know. Maybe they'll make a run, but they've been bad this year.
Right.
The Chicago Bears. Okay, there's a little excitement, but they're not good. They're expected to be under 500 with Caleb Williams and all, but they're not good. They don't have a good football team. It remains to be seen, I should say, but the evidence isn't pointing in their favor. And then basketball, they're very blah. The Chicago Bulls, who cares? They get in the play-in and get bumped right out.
Yes.
I mean, what is there?
I don't think
the Blackhawks are too good either in hockey.
I don't think they sure didn't get into the Stanley Cup final for sure. So listen. I mean, you know, I agree with you, Jack. I mean, it's a bad time.
Bad.
But I mean, look at we really got
Pathetic.
nothing to talk about being Jet and Giant fans because our football programs are garbage and they've been garbage for a while. So I mean, I don't know, Jack. I mean,
No,
but I
you
understand.
compare city to city. No, but you'd think the city would have something that would kind of excite you. Even we were mentioning Pittsburgh a little while ago. They're around 500 a game or two up the
Yeah.
Pirates. So let's hope they're trending in the right direction.
Right.
You know, they got a sensational rookie pitcher. And then they got the Steelers, who have winning records something like the last 17 years.
They're going to be.
No, they don't have an NBA. How come Pittsburgh isn't getting an NBA franchise?
I don't know,
That's
Jack.
what I
Why do
don't get.
these
When
things
you
just
think
pop
of
in
it.
your mind, don't they? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know
mean-
where they go. They should have one, I guess. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know.
think that the
Did
LA
they ever have-
Clippers,
did
no
they
one-
ever
no
have
one
an
cares
NBA
about
team?
the Clippers in LA.
Did they ever have an NBA team?
They had the Pittsburgh Pipers in the
Right,
the
the
ABA.
All right, so there you go, the Pipers, the Pittsburgh Pipers.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, so let's get to some of the games here. As I was trying to do here in New York, DJ LeMahieu comes through in the 10th inning. Yankees, Soto hits a home run, tying it in the 7th. Yankees win. The Phillies, as we talked about, Boston. Weiler Abreu, he hits 2 home runs for their win over Texas, 7-2. Boston's still trying to keep pace with these teams. And as you mentioned, the Mets lost 3-2. So that's the locals anyway. Shohei Ohtani.
Games come back to haunt the Mets. You lose 3-2 to the Angels.
I agree.
It comes back to haunt you.
You got to beat those.
Gotta win the game. I'm going to tell you, Mac, I can understand losing to really good teams who have a lot at stake. But these games to the Angels, they're a handful of games like this during the year. They, like I said, they come
You
back
gotta
to
win those
haunt
games.
you at the end.
You got to win these games. These games, you at least you got to win.
You
them.
have to grab them when they're there.
Shohei Ohtani becomes the 3rd fastest in MLB history to get to 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases. I watched him get his 30th and his 31st as he stole 3rd. One thing about Ohtani.
Okay, cool. Wait a second. You've been critical of Ohtani, and I've never
No, I haven't been
mentioned this
critical.
part of his game because I don't think about it. He's
No, I
really
haven't
great
been
on the bases.
Yes,
Man,
he's always good.
I wonder. Yeah,
That's pretty good.
no, I kind of wonder why they don't have him in the field more. Why he's DHing.
I don't know, Jack. I think it's because of his bad arm. Why have a chance at him hurting his arm in any way? I know he's stealing bases and he could get hurt doing that, but I think they don't want anything to happen to his arm for a swing, for that hit, for that home run, for that power. I mean, he's an RBI guy too. His average is not bad either, Jack. He's a good hitter, one of the best in the league. So
Getting on base, I'm guilty of looking at batting averages as a guideline. The mentality's got to change. Like we even talk about Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak. Let's talk about Ted Williams' 84 games in a row getting on base. To me, that's greater, getting on base. But there's intangibles involved. Sometimes a pitcher could throw 4 bad pitches and you're on base. So what's the big deal over what you did, as opposed to a player who fouls balls off and earns a walk?
And not only that, Jack, intentional walks. I mean, you got Ted Williams coming up.
Walks.
I'm walking Ted Williams if I'm facing him with people on base. I'm walking.
I saw an old interview with Willie Mays towards the end of his career. I mean, maybe not towards the end, maybe 5 years before the end of his career. They were asking him some questions. They said, Willie, beside yourself, and he laughed, who's the best player in baseball, in your opinion? And he said, Roberto Clemente. But at that time, Mac, we didn't have social media. It didn't make news. Imagine him saying something like that today. Oh, he didn't say Hank Aaron. Everything is expanded and too big a deal is made out of things now. But back in the day, you could say whatever the heck you wanted.
Everything is analyzed, scrutinized, picked at. If you didn't say one word correctly, they're all over you. I agree with you. Go ahead. Judge hits his 41st.
That's a funny line with Joe Louis and Muhammad Ali. They were sitting next to one another,
Yes.
And Ali was saying how much better he was than Lewis. This is when Ali was champion. I could have done this. How would you? And they said to Joe Louis, you think you could have beaten me? And Joe Louis said, when I was champion, I had a bum of the month tour. And Ali is saying, are you saying I was a bum? And Louis says, no, I'm saying you would have been on the tour. You know what I mean?
All right, so there you go. Judge did hit his 41st home run a couple games ago. I think he's going to hit 60, maybe more, Jack, maybe 65. He could hit 70, depending on how hot he gets. I mean, 40 home runs by August. September, he's got the full month of August, part of September. Who knows?
They walked him in the second inning with no one on base.
I know they did.
Second inning. I mean, this guy is unbelievable, the way he's locked in. Unbelievable. Yes. I mean, they're scared he's going to hit a home run, not a double. He's going to hit a home run. They'll fall by 1-0, so they're walking him. It's mad. If they could get a bat behind Judge to offer tremendous protection, an elite bat, you know, I kind of wonder a little bit, Mac. If you batted Soto right behind Judge, they're not going to mess around with Judge. They're going to pitch to him. They're not going to pitch around Judge to get to Juan Soto.
I agree.
Juan Soto is him hitting in front of Aaron Judge is invaluable to Soto. Invaluable. People don't consider that. Soto's a great player, and I badly hope the Yankees sign him as a free agent as long as the price isn't ridiculous. But
listen, Jack, I agree. They need somebody who at least can hit a home run, at least hit 30 home runs behind Judge. Somebody that has at least there's a threat of power. Right now, they really don't have that. Gleyber Torres is not hitting home runs like he used to. Maybe he kicks it in. I don't know.
Badeo. Volpe has been coming on. He's been good. But the point,
no threat.
The point
no threat.
Soto Judge is the best 1-2 punch offensively that we've seen in a long time. Since Ruth and Gehrig, they would be the all-time best 1-2 punch, Ruth Gehrig. But after that, I can't think of a better 1-2 combo than Judge and Soto. You could put players like
Maris
and Mantle for one season in 61. They were phenomenal.
I would imagine. I would have to look it up, Jack. I would imagine there are other good 1-2 punches that might be equal to that. I mean, I would think on the Pirates, McCovey and
the Giants, McCovey and Mays. I can understand that. Cepeda. Even then, I don't think it's that good. The Braves, Eddie Matthews, Hank Aaron. I mean, there've been a lot of great 1-2 punches.
That's a good one.
But
I mean, Jack, even if they had a great, not even power, a great base hitter behind Judge, right? I mean, even like if there was somebody who was batting over 300, and even if he only has 5 home runs, he's going to put the ball in play, and that would be something that might discourage them from walking Judge because they're going to move Judge.
I don't know how Judge is going to age. He has a big body. But consider this. LeBron James has a big body, and no one has aged as well as LeBron James on the court. And, they've been playing Judge in center field. The concern about Judge was, you can't play him a lot of games. You have to conserve him. You have to leave the DH spot open for him. But he's a regular there, Judge.
Yes.
He's a regular. And he does steal the base now.
And listen, he's a good outfielder, too. I mean, the dude is a good outfielder. He's very for a big man. He's got good speed and very versatile out there. He covers a lot of. I mean, I think he's a complete package. That's why I like him better than Ohtani for Player of the Year or whatever they're going to do there. We'll see what.
No, you're not even close. No. Judge is easily the best player in baseball this year.
I think
not even close. I mean, as great as Soto's been. Judge is the best guy. Imagine Judge was hitting in front of Soto. Judge would get more pitches to hit.
I think so. But Soto wouldn't. So I mean, half dozen one, half dozen
Soto
the other.
a little.
college football, Jack. I got to bring this up. Michigan new head coach, the offensive coordinator last year might be in a lot of trouble. And they might, and the investigation is continuing as they are handing out suspensions and all this other stuff. He had deleted 52 text messages to the staffer who was spying for Michigan. The staffer has not at all cooperated with the NCAA. Neither has Jim Harbaugh, for that matter. And he will be on Netflix Untold Stories. He will be there. He will speak on this, the staffer. But more, the new coach of Michigan might be in trouble, and Michigan might still be in trouble, Jeff.
Well, let me ask you this, because I haven't been following this story as carefully as you have. Is it possible Michigan would be forced to vacate their national championship they won last year? Is it possible?
I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know what the punishment NCAA will give them as far as recruiting, as far as maybe some games taken off. I know they have taken the Heisman Trophy away in the past, Jack. So I don't know whether, and I know NCAA championships.
And they returned it to Reggie Bush eventually.
Right. And hasn't there been a couple teams in the past that they have been disqualified as NCAA champions? I know. I'm almost positive there have been in the history of NCAA. I'm almost positive. So yeah, maybe the thing is, how about Moore and how about his recruit and how about the recruiting? I mean, if Moore gets in trouble and now the players that are there, are they going to jump ship? If you know, I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be interesting, the Michigan season this year going forward. So anyway, in NFL, we talked about this on the Sunday sports show as far as, you know, rookie quarterbacks. We said Jaden Daniels will be playing in preseason. It looks like Caleb Williams may start playing. Now, there's an extra game in the Hall of Fame. He might start the following game, which I think is a brilliant idea. That's a good idea to me. So I think that's important for those guys.
You got to find out whether these guys – but you're a big proponent of sitting and holding the clipboard for a year. It depends on your situation.
Right.
The greatest example to back up your argument would be Patrick Mahomes. He held the clipboard 1 year, didn't get into play till late in the year with the Chiefs. They had a veteran, Alex Smith, as their quarterback, and they knew they would move on from Smith after a year. But you have to look who's ahead of you. With Jaden Daniels, he's not going to sit a year ahead behind Marcus Mariota.
I agree.
They have no one there.
If you're drafting a quarterback because you have a starting quarterback, because you have no other choice, you can't. You're getting rid. You're cleaning house. This is your guy. You got to play him in preseason. You got it. And if they
they got to play Bo Nix. They can't have sit him behind Jason Stidham or Zach Wilson. That would be a farce. But the Vikings could sit J.J. McCarthy behind Sam Darnold, because Darnold's been around a while. So it's fine he plays. Drake May could sit behind Jacoby Brissett, because Brissett is a veteran. You could learn, still in the meantime till your time comes. But if you don't have any type of viable starter, you don't have much of a choice. The guy's got to get into the fray.
I agree. And, it could destroy their careers. It's possible. This 1 year, them starting right away, could destroy their NFL careers. It's a chance. It's a chance to
a lot of times it's a confidence thing, how quickly the player learns.
Agree.
I mean, they have certain intense scrimmages, one team against the other, but you got to consider the defense that you're going against. The Jet offense the other day, they scrimmaged the defense, and it was some good news. Aaron Rodgers is doing a lot of good things, but it was ending in field goals. Okay, at the end, think of it. But consider this: Aaron Rodgers and the Jet offense, they're going against arguably the best defense in the NFL, their own defense.
Jack, you're being a fanboy right now. It's training camp. It doesn't matter. They can't hit Aaron Rodgers. They're not hitting their players like they would hit him during the game. Yeah, I mean, this would be me like being excited about Daniel Jones doing good at training camp. Supposedly he's doing great. Let's talk about Daniel Jones. Yeah, he's gonna no. Let's wait for the regular season.
Did you see
I mean,
with Kadarius Toney with the Chiefs about 3 weeks ago? Okay, he caught a ball, and one of the players, I forgot his name
Hit
on
him.
defense, just
Yes.
knocked him over. It was supposed to be like a non-contact drill. He just banged him, knocked him
I
down.
saw it.
Kadarius Toney got up, threw the football at him, and Travis Kelce came to Kadarius Toney's defense, and he grabbed the player like, "What the heck are you doing?"
Yes.
You know, like he shoved him. Like, what the heck's the matter? Your problem. It's supposed to, you know.
Yeah, that happens all
I
the time.
kind of enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to give you quickly because we hardly got time. We're at the top of the hour. I'll save it. I'll save it for Wednesday. I don't have to.
We
I don't
still
have
have
to
a
talk
little. We still have a few. We still have about 2 minutes.
Jack, you don't have enough time for your analyzation of these things. I'm calling it analyzation now, not analyze. I'm saying analyzation. Jack is great at analyzation. I don't know what that means.
Over analyzing.
But anyway,
Yeah.
listen. A lot of fun. We'll be back live on Wednesday. You're tuned in to us, the Mac and Jack Sports Show on YouTube and on the Roku channel. I suggest you go to the Roku channel if you are on YouTube because you get to see 70 shows weekly. It's not just us, and there's a lot of shows that are on YouTube right now that you'll be seeing today on Roku, including Coffee and Sports will be on today. Right after us, great show with Chris and Mo. Ken and Ken in the Morning is on our Roku channel. We have a lot of shows that you don't see on Northeast Streaming Sports.
7 o'clock Eastern time.
I was just
my
getting to
boxing coach, Frank Laterzo, Glove Fist. Tune in tonight.
Exactly. Plem and Proper Sports will be on Roku. Sports Scope will be on Roku. Start Spreading the News will be on. I mean, there's a whole lineup you're missing if you don't go to Roku. So download. If you don't have Roku TV, just get a device, hook it up to your TV, make it a Roku TV like you do with Fire Stick, and then you can just channel search, and there we are. There's National Streaming Sports. I mean, if you got a Roku TV, it's easy. Channel search National Streaming Sports, and you'll get our great channel over there. Jack, I think the Olympics are going to get more interesting as we get closer as far as the men and the women basketball teams because the competition is going to get tougher. And I
don't think people are going to care that much about the women's team.
I think there's a percentage. There's a percentage, not as much.
A little bit, but the names don't come out at you. The men's team, all the big names come out at you. That's what makes it. The names of the men's superstars. The women missed the opportunity, not having if that Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese would be paying a lot more attention to
and
women,
as you saw, well, I didn't tell you the box score there, but Anthony Edwards was the number one scorer, followed by Embiid. Tatum goes 10-10. I mean, as Kerr says, everybody's going to be getting in. He's going to use the bench more. I don't know how you can use the bench more, but he says everybody's going to get his minutes. I think Kerr. I agree with you. At first, I thought he was too soft. I think Kerr's doing a real good job right now, Jack.
The United States is winning their games comfortably, but the opposition is giving enough resistance where the United States still has to respect the threat that they pose, even though the United States absolutely should win the gold medal with a little room to spare. It's not quite a slam dunk. They can't play poorly, and expect to win.
I definitely agree with that. So anyway, folks, we're out of here. Coffee and Sports, I said, is after us. We'll be back live on Wednesday. And stay tuned. Again, watch Jack and Frank Laterzo break down boxing like nobody else at 7 p.m. Eastern on National Streaming Sports. Folks, have a great Monday. Hope you have a good day starting your week, and we'll see you soon.